Hello everyone and welcome to episode 19 of the Dragon Radar podcast. We are your hosts, Heeroh and Ajoten. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well. I'm ready and rearing to go. How about yourself?
Also ready to go, so let's jump straight in with Roshi's rant.
This is Roshi's Rant.
This is Roshi's Rant, the first segment of the podcast where we deep dive into a particular topic regarding Dragon Ball. And this week we're talking about Future Trunks and what would happen if you just decided, you know what, I'm just going to stick around. I'm not going to go fight the androids yet. They can wait. I've got a time machine. I can literally go back anytime I want. It's fine. So, yeah, let's discuss. So the first thing we're going to have to talk about is the Boo arc and how that would change, because that's the first thing that happens straight after everything with Cell. So, yeah, he just sticks around and decides, yeah, you know what, I like my family all being alive and, you know, hanging out with my dad. And Gohan's here as well, so yeah, I'm just gonna chill.
Actually, I have friends here.
Yeah, I have friends and they're powerful, just like me. Yeah. So, what do you think? What's the first thing? I guess,
I
yeah.
think in the first instance, I don't know how much impact he would make towards the Boo arc. I know he was very powerful in his storyline, just alone. However, if we look at it from the end of the Cell Saga, he wasn't that powerful at the end of the Cell Saga. So, against Cell, against the main villain.
Against Cell, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I'm not saying he wasn't directly powerful. I'm just saying in terms of fighting the main villain, that scaling level, he wasn't as powerful. So, for instance, if you put him up one-on-one against Boo, he wouldn't stand a chance. Yeah, one-on-one.
No, but you've got to remember, I guess, by the end of the Cell Saga, Gohan is the one that defeats him. Goku's dead, and Trunks was stronger than Vegeta at the time. Yeah. So going forward into the Boo arc, well, at the very start, even before Boo's announced, because there is a bit of a time jump, you know. Let's say he's hung around for these full, like, maybe 6-7 years, whatever it is. Gohan, you know, it starts becoming weaker because he's focusing more on studying and stuff. And, you know, Goku's still dead. Trunks is probably the strongest person around.
Yeah.
At this point.
I think it's working in tandem that's going to be the most effective thing for Trunks. Working with other people. So working alongside people like Gohan is where he's going to be more effective.
Yeah.
Not working solo. Because I know in other timelines he's been effective, and I think he actually dealt with Boo in his timeline. But I think he had did he have prior knowledge, I think, in his, or he was already stronger? He had a way of being stronger.
Yeah.
No, he didn't have access. They didn't have access because he destroyed Boo. I'm trying to remember how he destroyed Boo.
I can't remember, but I guess that's not. Does he have access to destroy Boo? Or is it not just because no one's around?
Boo's not born. Boo isn't born.
Yeah, because the androids kind of destroy everything. So Babidi, I guess, isn't around.
So let's say, for argument's sake, Boo is born. Trunks wouldn't be able to go one-on-one with Boo.
No.
It would be him working in tandem with other people, where I think he would be effective.
Yeah.
I think it would be good going up against people like Dabura and people like that. I think that's where he would be most effective. I think he would be useful. I think his power scaling would be training alongside other fighters, such as maybe training if Vegeta wasn't training with Goku, things like that. Or if Gohan hadn't went to train with to learn Ultimate or to play King Arthur and the sword, he he could have trained with Gohan. I think working in tandem is where his strength would lay. I don't think Trunks would be as effective solo.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he probably would have spent more time with Vegeta more than Gohan just because of the age gap. Because even though Trunks and Gohan in his future timeline were close and best friends and that type of thing, that was because there was no one else. Whereas when he comes back, Gohan is significantly younger than him, and yeah, I guess he already spends a lot of time with his dad and everyone else during the time he's back, especially in the hyperbolic time chamber. So for me, he probably wouldn't be as close with Gohan in this version.
Just because it's Gohan, they're not the same. They're not automatically friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not friends with. He's not automatically besties with him because he's Gohan.
Yeah.
It's a different. Technically, it's a different person.
Yeah.
Well, it's not technically. It is a different person. They just have similar traits.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gohan of the future will be a much darker, rougher person because they'll be molded by their circumstances. The one from the current timeline who defeated Cell, will still have a lot of purity to them.
Yeah.
As seen when he goes to school and everything like that, he still has a future. Whereas the one that's died from the other timeline, he would have known there was no future. He would have been fighting for survival, and that's it. I imagine he had very little left. And so the little light that he had was probably in Trunks, and that was it.
Yeah, there's a really good chance that Trunks would have trained younger Trunks, just because they're both together, and I mean, there's Goten there as well. Trunks could have maybe been a teacher for Trunks and Goten. That would have gave him something to do. He's training himself and Goten at the same time, just because them two are a double act.
Yeah,
and it's not like he needs to go to school. Vegeta, there's a chance he'll just be like, "Go away! I want to train on my own." So
he does. Yeah, he disobeys in the hyperbolic time chamber and everything like that.
But yeah, Trunks.
When he does train with somebody, it tends to be Goku because he's on his equivalent level of power.
Yeah, although Trunks would be in this case on his power level.
I suppose, yeah, that's true. That is very true. Although would Vegeta's pride accept that?
Definitely not.
No. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I know Piccolo does train the Bens, the youngins, in the Buu arc, but that is due to fusion. But other than that, he doesn't typically train them.
There's a good chance we would have seen a fusion between Trunks and Gohan as well.
That would have been very cool.
Yeah. That would have been cool. Missed opportunity.
That would be, we would have seen like an earlier version of what's coming up in the superheroes movie.
Yeah.
Actually, they would have been even older, would they?
Well, I mean,
older than they are now.
Well, no, because that's Trunks and Goten as well. That's not Trunks and Gohan.
So
we haven't even seen that.
Yeah. So you'll never see that.
That would be it could happen because it's all about it's all about like you need to be a similar height. The age doesn't really matter, so that could happen. Trunks and Gohan could still fuse because as Trunks is getting older, he's getting taller. Or Goten and Gohan could fuse. Same with Gohan and Goku, they could technically fuse as well. Nothing's stopping them. But yeah, we haven't seen Trunks and Gohan fuse, and that would be interesting.
Possibilities.
That could have happened in the Buu arc instead, because they would have needed two strong fighters to take on Buu. Trunks is around, Gohan is around as well. They're both similar heights. They could have fused, and that would have been a huge dynamic shift.
I mean, we saw Vegeta absolutely annihilate Buu, like just absolutely all over. And I know that's a Potaro fusion, but it's still basically a form of fusion that basically ruined it. And so you've got these power levels that, and I mean, Goten they're much lower power levels, Goten and young Trunks. So I'm talking about the higher level fighters at a form of fusion.
Yeah.
So let's say obviously Vegeta they're out of commission because Boo took them out. You've still got other options of fighters that have a way to fuse, and then they can finish the fight. So now you have other options for fusion. So that would have changed it drastically. So that could have made the whole situation a lot easier.
Yeah.
That would have changed everything.
Yeah.
Vegeta and Goku are out of it. You could have just got like Gohan and Trunks to do it.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot stronger than Goten and younger Trunks. So they didn't use the Psaro, but they could have just used normal fusion.
Yeah.
And they still would have battered him.
Gohunks,
Yeah.
I guess would be the fusion name.
Yeah. I refuse to believe that fusion those two wouldn't have absolutely battered Boo.
Yeah, they've got more fighting experience, both of them.
Yeah.
Well, Kid Trunks and Goten had no fighting experience before fusing. They were strong, but they'd never been in a fight at that point.
Yeah. They were a good fight for against Boo. But even with their like multiplied strength, it's just not really a comparison. Like the multiplied strength of something like Trunks and Gohan just leaves them in the dust. They're kids.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys are trained fighters.
Arguably, though, they still wouldn't have won since, they would have had the sword as a fusion as well, which would have been cool. But it needed the Spirit Bomb to kill Boo because we already know that normal blasts and slicing him in half, that type of thing, wouldn't have worked because he can regenerate.
Still could regenerate? I mean, did it have to be a Spirit Bomb? I know.
I mean, no, maybe not. But
I mean, did it canonically have to be the Spirit Bomb, or did it not just have to be something so powerful, akin to what killed Cell? Did it not just have to be something so powerful that it just removed the ability to regenerate?
Well, it needed even more than the power to kill Cell because he needed the energy of everyone on Earth. So I don't think even if Gohan and Trunks fused, they would have had that much energy to fire a blast to kill Boo.
Trunks has a sword that has Spirit Bomb power.
Maybe not yet, though. Maybe he hasn't mastered that yet. He doesn't know how to do that yet.
His sword of hope.
Yeah.
But we don't know he doesn't.
That's true. Another thing I was thinking of, because obviously all of these possibilities are just hypothetical, but another thing, during the World Martial Arts Tournament, Trunks would have likely entered as well, because why wouldn't he? He's another fighter. Yep. And there's a chance that he could have been the one to turn Margin. And that would have been interesting.
By choice or by actually being took over?
Being took over instead.
There's no way he would have chose to be.
No, but arguably he would have been the strongest fighter because he's on level, if not higher than Vegeta at this point. Especially if they both keep up the training, since Trunks was slightly stronger than Vegeta by the end of the Cell arc. So Babidi might have seen this and told them to focus their energy on Trunks and just go after Trunks, try and turn him. And because of the Vegeta genes inside him or whatever, they might have this tiny little bit of evil inside Trunks just brought down from Vegeta might have been exploited.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a
massive what if.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot would have changed there. I think Trunks would have killed everyone because he has friends, but he has no reason to do the whole final atonement stuff of I'm doing this for family or whatever, because why would he at this point?
Trying to think. I don't think the thing about that is I don't think Goku would hold back.
Yeah, potentially, because
he's not going to protect. Like Goku held back for Vegeta's pride.
Yeah.
because he literally did it because he kind of felt sorry for Vegeta.
Hmm.
I think he would have just battered Trunks, to be honest.
Yeah,
There was no reason for him not to.
because he already knows that there is Trunks of this current timeline. We can take care of him. That's fine. We'll just make sure this same thing doesn't happen to him in the future and that he doesn't turn evil.
I think he would have just wanted to disable Trunks as fast as possible because I think Goku was aware that their fight, that Vegeta's fight, his and Vegeta's fight was releasing Boo. I'm pretty sure he said it if I remember rightly. So he didn't want to keep fighting. He kept trying to talk Vegeta out of it.
Yeah.
I think he would just want to disable Trunks as fast as possible, and I think he would just batter him and like take him out and knock him out as fast as possible. I don't think he'd kill him.
No.
But I think he'd outright disable him, and I think he'd just do a burst of Super Saiyan 3. If he could, I don't know how fast he'd be able to do it because obviously for the first time we see Super Saiyan 3, like in Super, we saw him able to do it like that, but that's when he's perfected it. The first time we see it, he takes about 20 minutes. So, but I think he would just absolutely I think he'd rinse him. And I think, to be honest, he might ask for Vegeta's help to say, like, we have to stop him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Vegeta would help. He might feel that to protect his son, he has to hurt his son. I think it might be one of these times where Vegeta has to actually be a dad, have a dad moment. Yeah, like it was towards this end where we were seeing a bit more of like Vegeta-ness. It might be a Vegeta moment. And so he actually does right in his own Vegeta way by battering his son. You could have seen like basically Goku and Vegeta just absolutely pummeled Trunks, and you could have got an interesting fight because he went all Martian and that made him stronger.
Yeah.
But I think they would have took him out relatively quickly, but you would have got an interesting fight. And they still could have done it to the point where Boo got released, and then you still get the story out of it.
Yeah. Or in the other vein, Vegeta could have still turned Margin, and with Trunks being there, you would have been like, I know you keep claiming you're stronger than me or whatever, but not anymore. And then he goes after Trunks because he's turned evil again. And he's like, I don't care that you're my kid anymore. I'm proving that I'm stronger than you finally, once and for all. And that would have been a great fight to see.
That could have been. Basically, he actually says it. Like he's making all the claims against Goku, and he's just like, and basically Trunks jumps in and just says, "You can't beat Goku because even I'm stronger than you," like to distract him or something like that.
Yeah.
Like how Goku's like how Gohan's trying to distract him, saying this isn't important right now. Like we have Boo to deal with, and basically Vegeta just brushes him aside with the like, and Trunks tries something similar, saying like, "You're trying to fight him, you wouldn't be able to even beat me, so we need to be focusing elsewhere." Yeah. And he just snaps and just attacks Trunks. That could be quite cool as well.
Because if you think about it, the way the 3 arcs go in Z, Frieza Saga is Goku focused. Cell Saga more so Gohan focused. The Buu Saga is kind of a bit of a mix, there's a big focus on Gohan for the start of it. There's a big focus on Vegeta for the middle of it. And then there's it goes back to Goku again for the end of it. If Trunks is around the whole time, they could have fully went into Vegeta and Trunks and that be their main arc, I guess. And have it fully focused on them. Which would have been nice, I guess. Because then the 4 main characters would have had their own separate arcs, kind of, with Vegeta and Trunks being put together in one, but they're family, so it kind of counts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Trunks sticking around for the Buu arc, it would have maybe just stayed pretty similar to how things would have happened. I don't think Trunks would have killed him on his own. And Trunks and Gohan is the most logical fusion I would have thought of instead. But let's say, for argument's sake, that they still weren't powerful enough to defeat Boo. Then, if that's the case, I think the rest of the saga would have went pretty much the same as is.
It still would have had to be the Spirit Bomb, more than likely.
Yeah, the only difference being we wouldn't have seen Gotenks because why would we need them?
Yeah.
Which people might be happy with it, to be honest.
I think Gohan and Trunks, adult Trunks, are a lot more engaging characters than
100%.
two whiny children, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Goten and Kid Trunks.
Yeah.
I think you need older characters to be more engaging. Personally, I've never been a fan of the younger characters until there's more to them.
Yeah, which is strange because the original Dragon Ball was so good and it was Goku as a kid. But I guess that was simply because they actually put effort into the characters of Goku, Krillin, Bulma, and yeah, I guess those were the three kids at the time. Whereas, whilst the main characters are all adults, having kids there as well, they're pushed away and their characters aren't progressed as much.
Yeah.
But when the kids are the focus, then it's fine. You can build a story on that, but they're never the main focus.
Yeah. I think they make them incredibly immature. Like, they make them intentionally immature. Which is fine, fair enough. They are kids. But you never expect anything more from them than what you would expect from kids their age. Whereas obviously from Goku, from OG Goku, you had moments of adventure and everything like that from the adventurous monkey boy that he was designed to be. So yeah, I think you got a lot more from him, despite being a kid, basically.
Yeah, I guess the only other change I can think of is potentially more of a sibling rivalry compared to being best friends, because older Trunks is kind of acting as a big brother to younger Trunks, even though it's the same person. If Trunks decides he wants to train younger Trunks, and just him, because he wants to train himself to be strong for the future, that's his goal. Like, that's what he's thinking in his mind. Like, he wants to train himself. Goten would be kind of on his own with Chi-Chi and possibly with Gohan as well. And yeah, they could have a rivalry against each other, thinking, yeah, Trunks is training Trunks, Gohan is training Goten. Like, let's see who can be more powerful between the two, and then they've got that rivalry between themselves. Like a friendly rivalry, of course. They're not trying to kill each other, but maybe they're just not best friends because of that, because they're spending more time being trained instead.
Yeah, I mean, it could also carry over into Super, where he actually becomes a potential option for the Tournament of Power.
Yeah,
if he does actually stay around, because I know that was always a question of why they didn't bring him back for the Tournament of Power. And I know Beerus was never happy about him being around in the first place.
Yeah.
He might have been angry about meeting him in Battle of the Gods. It could have been one of the reasons why he decided to still blow up Earth. I know he stopped, but if he knew there were time travelers there, he might not have left Earth alone. He might have blew up Earth still.
That's true.
Frieza coming back. I mean, Frieza might not have taken that very well. He might have refused to work with them if he knew that his direct killer was still there.
Yeah.
Having one killer there in Goku, having two, that's a kick in the teeth right there.
Yeah, it is. Especially
stomach.
Yeah, I guess if Trunks did stay around this whole time, we would have seen, because that's the thing I don't understand really, because future Trunks does come back originally in Z for the androids, and that's all fine. The future Trunks that we see in Super doesn't seem to have aged at all, which I don't understand.
Yeah,
really.
Because I think it's like I said, it's been confirmed by Toriyama that it is the same Trunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to be a battle online of whether or not it is or it isn't, but Toriyama seems to have said that it is the same Trunks.
Yeah, and he's aged at least, we can say, maybe 10 years between the Cell Saga and the Goku Black arc. At least 10 years.
Maybe he just does what Bulma does every 5 years or whatever. Just wishes himself 5 years younger.
Could do.
Runs in the family.
Potentially, yeah.
Just vain.
There's a chance, yeah.
But I mean, it would have opened up a lot of avenues in Super.
Yeah.
But it would have been interesting to see if Goku Black would have actually came through into this timeline, and if they would have ever, if Goku and Vegeta and that would have ever actually had to worry about Goku Black at all. So we might have even experienced the arc,
Potentially not.
Unless Trunks actually accidentally went back and got his attention.
Yeah, like he might decide after the Buu arc, like, all right, we've killed another big bad. Everything's back to normal. I think it's time I went back to my timeline and, killed the androids and made things right. Because that's the whole point of him staying around. He has no rush to go back because it's a time machine. He can go back to any time he wants. That's the whole point of it. So, if he does decide to stay around just because he wants to spend time with his dad, which he's never experienced in his whole life, and, get to train a bit more with people his own power level, even though he can easily destroy the androids after the Cell arc, which is why he goes back in the first place. But he has no rush to do that. That's the whole reason we're talking about it now. So, if he does wait until after the Buu arc to go back, and then he's like, right, androids, yeah, I can just flick them now and they explode, that's fine. And then, he can go destroy the Buu egg or whatever, if that hasn't already been done. And then, he just focuses on building his life back up. Building everything back with
world. Bit more than his life. It's the entire world's been destroyed.
Yeah, and then somehow Mai and the Pilaf gang still managed to get the Dragon Balls, even though Piccolo's dead in the future. So they turn back time to make them young again, which somehow happens for Super to make sense with Trunks and Mai being together. Otherwise, Mai would be Bulma's age still, and Trunks and Mai wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, Jirobe's alive again in Super, and
yeah, so there's a few things that just it doesn't work. Even though it is apparently the same Trunks, some things don't make sense. How did Mai get the Dragon Balls to turn young again? That doesn't make sense. Yajirobe's alive, even though he said that everyone's dead. Doesn't make sense. But whatever.
Reasons.
For reasons. Probably just forgot about it. But yeah.
They like forgetting about characters sometimes.
Yeah.
Poor launch.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Mai thing that doesn't make sense the most. How did they get the Dragon Balls? What? Hold on. That's the only bit that I don't understand. Piccolo's dead. They don't have Dragon Balls. How did Mai turn young again? Surely she would have just died old by the androids. Or even if she did survive, she would be Bulma's age, which means she's a lot older. Either way, that doesn't make sense. She's either dead from the androids or old. How is she young? That doesn't make sense.
Because Dragon Ball, that's why.
Yeah, unless they can somehow go to Namek, because Namek's still alive in their future, and they get the Namek balls, but why would Mai get them? I don't know.
To be fair, they are very persistent in that show.
Yeah.
I reckon they could do it.
Somehow they travel to Namek, somehow get the balls, and instead of fixing the planet or using them to destroy the androids, they decide they want to be young again. Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. Don't question it.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, don't question it.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess we've been talking about this for long enough. We didn't even really go much in depth about what would happen during Super if Trunks stayed around. We kind of mentioned it a little bit with Beerus, but yeah, I guess we can just say, yeah, he went back after the Buu arc. that's how things still make sense, because they can still be...
He got sick. we didn't talk about it because we want the Goku Black Arc to happen.
Yeah, that can all still happen if he went back after Boo and he just decided to stay around just a little bit longer.
We don't want that arc to not happen, so we went.
Yeah, everything from Super can still happen. He just goes back after Boo. Yeah, makes sense. But we can move on now. It's been a bit of a long segment, so yeah, fair play. So yeah, time for the Hall of Fame. So let's go.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
And now it's time for the Hall of Fame, where myself and Heeroh battle it out for this week's Hall of Fame. Last week it was the best moment in the Tournament of Power. Heeroh, you chose the first appearance of Ultra Instinct, and I chose the death of Master Roshi. And I'm going to assume that you have the results.
I do have the results, and we have a record. New record, the biggest percentage margin win on the Hall of Fame so far, with 90% of the vote. A whole 90%.
I'd like to point out that I know which one it is, and I would have picked that if you hadn't been going first. Shut up.
Yeah, the winner, spoiler alert, but the winner is the first shown of UI. So Goku in his UI glory is going to the Hall of Fame for the best moment in the Tournament of Power. I'm on a 6 streak. Can I, for next week, can I nominate this streak to be in the Hall of Fame?
Funny.
When it finally ends, that's a Hall of Fame nominee. This streak is a Hall of Fame entry. It'll never be beaten again. Well, maybe. Who knows?
I think I can beat this. I think I need to reset. I think this topic is less obvious. So going first will make it. We've agreed on a topic, and I think going first might not be as important. I think we've agreed this week, because I think there's a lot of choices for this week. Because this week, the topic is the best statement / quote / speech in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
It can literally be anything. It could literally just be one powerful line. It can be a speech that someone said, or just anything at all. Now, we've agreed this in advance, and because we all know Vegeta loves these powerful speeches, someone just loves to bust out just one powerful line that you just go, oof, love to hear it. So we've just thought, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So as the winner, you get to go first.
I do, and I've got to admit something right now. As you were talking right there, something new came into my head. So I'm completely changing my pick from what I've made notes on, from what I thought I was sure on. I've just thought of something new, and I'm going with it.
Right.
So
okay,
I have no notes, nothing.
Okay.
I've just thought of it and thought, yes, this is what I want to go for instead.
Okay, well, you'll have to tell us both, because tell us what you're going with first, and then tell us what you were going to go with.
Yeah, so the pick that just came into my head, which will be my nomination for this week's Hall of Fame, is potentially the most well-known quote in all of Dragon Ball. And it is a meme, even. And everyone loves it. And I love it too, if I'm honest. And it is a powerful line. It is a memorable line. And it is, Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000!
Not a bad choice.
Yeah.
Honestly, didn't come into my head at all when I was doing my choices.
Yeah.
It's not even my backup.
No, it didn't come into my head until you started speaking. And, we had prepped, we had talked about it, and we were ready to go. And I thought, you ready? Yep, let's go. And then as you started, I was like, oh, yes, I have to choose that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going with it. It's over 9,000. That is my pick for the best quote in Dragon Ball.
That is a very good choice. And
it is.
I'm honestly surprised that I can't believe I didn't think of it.
Yeah, well, I didn't until you started speaking right now.
Yeah.
I thought of so many other things, but yeah, that one.
It is very much a very good choice.
Yeah, so since
So now that is locked in.
yeah, we don't want to make this segment 2 minutes, so let's just talk about the quote for a minute first.
Yeah. Oh, yes, fair enough. Yeah.
So this is happening during the the Saiyan saga, of course, right at the start of Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta and Nappa come to Earth and start wreaking havoc. They start killing people left, right, and center. Piccolo's down, Tien's dead, Chaozu's dead, and you're like, whoa, okay, let's hold on here. Goku comes back for the save, comes back alive, back from the dead, and yeah, when he starts powering up, Nappa's getting scared and he turns to Vegeta because they're wearing scouters, which, can sense power levels. And they've been using that. Like, this is a new mechanic to Dragon Ball, the scouters. And it's came in useful for the start of the saga where they were, testing the power levels of everyone around. And it was like, this guy's like 200. The Cybermen are like, I think the same level as Raditz, which was around, was it 350, I think? Something like that. The farmer was like a 6 or something. The farmer that Raditz sees when he first lands on Earth, he was like a 6. And yeah, everyone relatively low. And Nappa, I think he was like a 4,500 power level. And Vegeta was known to be like I think 10,000. And yeah, Goku comes along, Nappa's getting destroyed, and he turns to Vegeta and says, what's this guy's power level? Pretty much. And Vegeta's even shocked at the power because he's like, it's over 9,000! And then obviously everyone knows that. And that was a mistranslation from the original Japanese version because the original was supposed to be 8,000, but they translated it wrong. And yeah, that's a meme. Everyone knows that. Everyone who's a Dragon Ball fan knows it's over 9,000. Even people who don't know Dragon Ball know it's over 9,000.
It's literally just one of the moments of meme culture. Yeah.
It's a full meme culture and a strong moment, a very memorable moment in all of Dragon Ball and all of anime, to be honest. I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. But yeah. I am very glad I thought of it last minute. So, yeah, that is my pick. So, I think it's a very strong choice. I'll talk about my second pick after your pick. But, yeah, what is your pick?
I'm still quite confident in mine as well. You could put my choice as either a speech or a statement. I'll put it as the statement side of it. And it's just straightforward, really, and it is, I am the Super Saiyan, Son Goku.
Ooh.
Straightforward. It just hits hard.
Yeah.
Just the power, and it's just, but the speech side of it, just, I am the warrior you have heard of in legends, pure of heart, awakened by fury. That's what I am. And you just see Frieza's face, just pure terror, and then he just bursts out with that line, and it just hits home. And it's just one of those moments in anime, and you just love it.
Yeah.
And it's just a simple line, and I was looking back, I was just thinking of all the quotes throughout Dragon Ball and everything like that, and I just think that to me, I've heard a lot of speeches and everything like that, and I think Vegeta is the king of speeches when it comes to Dragon Ball.
Definitely.
But I don't think a line hits harder than that one, to me. So despite all the speeches that Vegeta's dropped and all the cool things he said across, that one thing that Son Goku said has hit harder than anything he's ever said.
My pride.
Yeah, I just kicked him in the pride. Because it's just the power with which he says it. After he's finally turned Super Saiyan, after all that time. It's just he turns Super Saiyan, and it's just the simmering aura, and then he just bursts out with the energy from it. And just the confidence with which he says it. And it's just, yes, finally.
Yeah,
it's just I think it's a defining moment in Dragon. It's the defining moment in Dragon Ball Z.
It is.
I think that's why it's got to be my pick.
I think this is going to be a tough one,
Yeah.
because the votes come down to like a very serious pick in yours, like, oh, this is an impactful quote,
Yeah.
or a meme quote of it's over 9,000,
Yeah.
which is maybe more memorable, but it is just a meme after all. It's not impactful, it's not anything really, it's just a line that Vegeta says, which wasn't
Yeah.
even mean to be anything big, but it turned into
Yeah.
something big.
It's basically like the way to look at it. It's like you say. It's like, do people enjoy the memes of Dragon Ball, or it's literally I would say it's one of the defining moments of Dragon Ball,
Yeah,
or do people enjoy
100%.
the meme side of Dragon Ball? And I think that's the moment, because when you think of some of the defining moments of Dragon Ball, that statement is one of them.
Mm,
And I think that's why it was my choice,
yeah,
because I think it's not a line you easily forget.
yeah.
That's definitely why it was my choice.
Mhm. No,
Um,
that makes sense. But I guess I can talk about my pick that I was going to go for
yeah,
until 10 seconds before I decided.
yeah, because then I'll drop mine.
Yeah. So my original pick, which I was very strong, like this is what I'm going for, was another one by Vegeta, surprisingly. And it was another one-liner. And it was during his fight with Android 19, where he says, "Let me ask you, does a machine like yourself ever experience fear?"
Oh,
I love that line.
I like it.
I
And then
think
he
it's
literally
so good.
runs away.
Yeah, because this is Vegeta's first on-screen transformation into Super Saiyan. He says that line, and then as soon as he says that line, you see the fear on the face of Android 19, and then Vegeta powers up, turns Super Saiyan, and then yeah, he tears off his arms, and he says, "So I guess it's true after all. Androids do experience fear." And then Android 19 tries to run away with no arms, and then Vegeta goes into the sky, Gallic Gun, destroys him. His head rolls onto the floor, and then he just says, "I only wish there was a junkyard nearby so we can give him a proper burial." And yeah, what a badass. The first appearance of Super Saiyan Vegeta. So that was going to be my pick. Was the does a machine like yourself ever experience fear? But I think the meme of
I
it's
think
over 9,000.
9,000 would have definitely takes it over that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think I think mine would have took it if you'd chosen that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Potentially.
yeah,
But I was setting myself up because I knew that, I've got this streak which I'm trying to hold on to. But also I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be mad if this lost and this was how the streak ended, because I
yeah.
do like this, and it's Vegeta's first Super Saiyan appearance, and it is just a badass line, and I do like it. But I'm not going with it, so who cares?
Yeah. I think just generally that scene on both Team Four Star and the non-one is great. It's
Yeah.
push-ups, sit-ups, and plenty of juice.
Yeah, but you had a backup anyway. So
Yes.
what was yours?
Again, it is the Principal Saiyans, and it is, of course, the World Tournament speech, because it is just when he's turned margin. It's just such a good speech. You've stolen my honor, and his debt must be paid.
Yeah.
It's just such a good speech. It's just, I think it's probably one of my favorite moments it is one of my favorite moments in the Buu arc.
Yeah.
Even over arguably over the final tournament. I know a lot of people love his final tournament, but it's just him really putting it all out there.
Going back to the dark side.
Yeah, it's like him saying I've done this because of. I know he explains later like why he's given himself over to the margin and everything like that, but to me, here is why he's saying like why he's suffering, and like the Kai's just saying that none of this matters, and he's just like what do you know meaningless? Like, just get away from me, be gone. And it's just, and he's basically saying like how Frieza's made him suffer, and like he had all this purpose, he had all this promise, and basically this person's just came and just made me nothing. And I have nothing now, or he feels he has nothing. And then Goku, and it's just the way he just puts it all out there. I just think it's such a powerful speech. It's great. I love it. And I just think it's, if you had, when you said it's a line, I thought you might have chose the Super Saiyan one. I thought you might have done the Son Goku one. So I wouldn't have been mad if I had to use the World Tournament speech. So I wouldn't have minded. I thought they were quite both strong choices, but I am happier that I got to go with my original choice.
Yeah. If I'm honest, the Super Saiyan speech, well, the line didn't really come into my head. I didn't think about it. So, yeah. I was always thinking Vegeta. He was the first person who came to mind because he makes speeches all the time. And I started thinking of his most memorable things. And the android one, Do You Feel Fear? That was the most badass one, I thought. So that was the one I stuck with. That was one of the first things I thought of, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stick with it. But last second, over 9,000. Yes, coming in clutch. And I think that's going to put up a fight. It really is. So this could be a really close one.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I know we say it quite often that sometimes that it is going to be quite close, but I think there is no reason that these two shouldn't be close.
Yeah.
Like, they are. I think this is the type of Hall of Fame where there isn't a reason for favoritism. Like a lot of our previous ones where it's like, I just really prefer this character, so they're picking, so a person could pick it based on they prefer the character. But this is just basically the statement itself is what matters. So I'd be very interested to see what people really think.
Yeah.
So I think it could actually be quite close this time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just to reiterate what the two picks are this week, we have It's Over 9,000 from me, and yours what's the full line?
I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku.
Yeah, I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku, and those are the two picks for the Hall of Fame this week. So if you want to vote, go check out our social media links down below and vote in the polls, and we will find out next week who enters the Hall of Fame. A classic battle of Goku versus Vegeta. So, yeah.
Wow, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. So one of those two will be entering the Hall of Fame. But for now, let's move on to the hot take.
Let's go.
Hot take.
This is the hot take, the final segment of the podcast where I go online, search the forums and troll posts to find something controversial regarding Dragon Ball, written by someone online. And we decide to discuss it, see whether we like it, dislike it, hate it, love it, or want to bury it underground with, the Cybermen. Who's buried underground? I had no one to come up with that. Cybermen. You bury Cybermen in the ground and then they grow up, but whatever. We're talking about it. And this week, I have a short thing that someone wrote online, and we're going to discuss it. And this person has said, Cell should have been in the Tournament of Power instead of Frieza. A one-liner. And we're going to discuss that now. So what do you think? Should they have brought back Cell instead of Frieza?
From a entertainment standpoint, no. Because Frieza is a more engaging villain, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
So purely from an entertainment standpoint, I would say no. In terms of power levels, things like that, you could argue that from what they knew, well, no, because you couldn't even say that, because by then they'd met Frieza again and seen that he'd increased in power.
Yeah.
So why would they think to go back to Cell when they already knew that Frieza had gotten stronger than Cell?
I guess because Frieza's shown that he's still unreliable, still evil. Why would he want to help out? And yes, Cell is also evil, but they also know he has the combined strength, well, the genes, the genetics of like 10 top fighters or whatever, including Frieza, I guess. He has some of Frieza's genes in there as well. And if they had him with all of his abilities, his regen abilities as well, which would be very handy for the Tournament of Power.
You can't kill anyone, though.
That's true. You can't kill them, but Cell in his own right is a incredible fighter. And since they already brought Frieza back once in Super, why not bring back another villain?
Yeah, and I mean, let's argue that. So Goku has a trump card on Frieza of how to keep him under control.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, you help us, I bring you back to life.
Mm.
Okay? Let's say that Cell and Frieza are the exact same power level. Goku knows this. He can choose who to bring back. If they needed to deal with them and they were the exact same power level, which one would you want to deal with? The one that can come back to life very easily and get stronger when they come back to life because they have Zenkai powers, or the one that will die and just die?
Yes, but also, I mean, yeah, okay, you've got a fair point there. But because of that Zenkai ability, Cell can power up even stronger throughout the Tournament of Power, I guess. You can keep injuring him. Every time he gets injured, he comes back stronger, which would be a bigger help compared to Frieza getting injured because he doesn't come back stronger. He stays the same. He's just very quick at learning, I guess.
Frieza's so much smarter than Cell, in my opinion, I think.
Is he really, though?
I think Frieza's a master tactician.
He was in the Tournament of Power, admittedly, but every other time we've seen him, I wouldn't really say he was a master technician.
Actually, yeah, no, saying that, he really wasn't. His pride was literally his downfall. Every time he's literally wanted to see people suffer.
Yeah, he's too stubborn.
Yeah, he's literally done it with Vegeta. Thinking about it, he's stood on top of people and literally tried to make them suffer.
Mm-hmm.
He would rather see people suffer than finish them off. But then again, Cell does the exact same thing. He hosted the Cell games.
He did.
Like, he could have killed everybody straight away. So they're exactly the same in that regard. But that's because Cell has Frieza genes.
Yeah.
So
I don't know though. If Cell, well, we've seen Cell go all out in fights, but I guess would Cell have came back as perfect Cell because he hasn't? He needs to absorb the androids, which is obviously his main thing for becoming strong. So if they brought him back, would he need to absorb 17 and 18 again, or would he come back somehow perfect already?
He died and came back perfect, if you remember, because he died in semi-perfect when he blew up, and he came back as perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Which never ever made sense in any way, shape, or form. They never explained that.
Yes, I guess he would come back perfect.
So yeah, but based on that logic, he would have stayed perfect when he died, which means he would have came back perfect.
Which arguably means he would come back with a massive Zenkai boost as well.
That's where I would get the logic for him being as strong as Frieza.
Yeah. And I think just based on moves alone, techniques, special moves, Cell takes it. Do you not think?
Because, like, Frieza has new moves in the Tournament of Power.
He does, but that's because he trained for, the 3 months to become golden?
Yeah, so those moves are moves that Cell doesn't have. The only moves that Cell has are the ones that he's stolen from the genes that he's got.
Yeah.
He won't have the new moves that Frieza has, so you could literally just offset that.
It's true, but Frieza
And
has
Frieza knows how to steal moves as well. Like he's got the Destructo Discs and stuff as well.
kind of, but they were always his thing, I guess. Cell will also know how to do the Destructo Disc because he has the genes.
Yeah.
But he also knows the Kamehameha, which is obviously one of the strongest moves in Dragon Ball. And he also will know the Gallic Gun. He knows the what's it called? The Flash thing.
Solar Flare.
Solar Flare, yeah, of course he knows that, which is a highly
Really didn't
useful
get
move.
used enough. That should
It
have been used a
doesn't.
lot more.
You would think so, yeah.
In a tournament where you can't kill people and only disable them, that should have been used a lot more.
Yeah, and Cell knows how to do that because he's used it in Z as well. And just because he does get the Zenkai bus, and I know you can't kill anyone in the Tournament of Power, but, Cell, his body is technically kind of weak because, he can regrow limbs and he does many times. If he does take a big shot to the arm or to the leg or chest or anywhere, I mean, he won't die from it either way because he can regen. So, he can get hurt, lose a limb, regen, and get a Zenkai buff from it. He will be constantly growing stronger throughout this tournament, and because he has all of these moves already, I think he might have been a better choice than Frieza. The only reason they brought him back was because of the massive fan base that Frieza has, and the fact they gave him a new form just previously.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be against it.
Well, I wouldn't be against it. He was a very engaging. I love Cell as a villain. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how I feel about him being in superheroes because I don't know, but I know it's not confirmed that he is.
Yeah, it's still it's hinted at heavily.
Yeah, it's like you've seen the big ball chamber thing that looks like it's nigh on. If he doesn't end up in it, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the same Cell. There's no way it'll be the exact same Cell.
No.
It is, which is why I'm not really that fussed on him. But that's a whole other discussion. I'm a big fan of Cell. I love Cell. I just don't think it would have the same dynamic. That's the thing for me. Where yes, he would be a very strong fighter, but the thing that you have to remember is that there are a lot of important parts in there. You have to have the Frieza Goku dynamic, and that's what makes it.
Yes, yeah, you do. That's right. I agree with that.
Like Gohan's not really about enough. It's if for Cell to come back, Cell would be angry at Gohan. He wouldn't care about Goku.
Well, he kind of would still.
Not enough. I don't think he would care enough. I think he would be annoyed at Goku, but the whole thing is Goku goes to get Frieza, yeah, and there's a massive dynamic between Goku and Frieza with the background Vegeta, which is kind of there, but not massively. But it's Goku and Frieza, and there's a constant tension. You don't know if Frieza's going to betray him, yeah, and there's literal moments where Frieza finds Goku on the floor, and you have the moment where Frieza gives him his energy. And that's a massive throwback. That's a huge moment, and there are moments like that. And there's always the dynamic of the betrayal. Yeah, you can't have that with Cell and Gohan because Gohan is always with Piccolo. Yeah, throughout, and Gohan just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that personality. It doesn't have that charisma to pull off that
back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Cell would just be goading him constantly, and Gohan he just doesn't have it in him. He would just say, "Leave me alone, you doo-doo head," or something like that. And it's just, he's not like,
if
he's
anything,
not got the fight in him. I don't think he's got a fight in him to.
It would have pushed Gohan more into the spotlight because it would have been more between the dynamic of Cell and Gohan. But I do still feel like, Cell is made up of all these fighters that are in the tournament pretty much. Well, not so much the androids, but pretty much everyone else. And he has history with everyone in it. Literally everyone. Like Frieza has no interaction with the androids previously.
That would be interesting.
But apart from that, Cell has interactions with everyone. It would be interesting to see Cell and 17 and 18 together again to see what happens there. A new dynamic coming back. But yeah, Cell has fought everyone, even him and Tien. They're like, oh, you're the Tri-Beam guy. Yeah. Don't do that again. But yeah, he has met actually, apart from Roshi, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say he hasn't met Roshi.
But even then, Roshi was around in that arc. He just doesn't necessarily fight him. But then again, Frieza never fights Roshi either. So, Frieza has less. He knows less of the team than Cell does. So yeah, there is a lot. He doesn't need to be fully focused on Gohan the whole time. He has problems with literally everyone on the team, pretty much, including the androids. So yeah,
I mean, I suppose Gohan can be. Yeah, I don't know if face is the word, but like he can be he can be cold when he needs to be.
Yeah.
So I suppose that he can have his moments. So he can basically before the fight, before the tournament, you can basically step to him and just says like if you're going to be like this the entire time, we'll have it out now, okay? And you could literally maybe just batter Cell or something like that, and just say, remember this moment, okay? And it could lead to maybe a betrayal moment or something in the tournament.
Yeah.
And just say, okay, I did remember this moment. And he could have just betrayed him or something. And it could even lead to Cell kicking Gohan out of the tournament or something like that.
There's high potential. Think about this for a second. Even if he came back as Perfect Cell and they went into the tournament, no killing allowed, that's all fine. Well, let's say they wanted to give Cell a new form again. What if he absorbs the androids for a second time? What if somehow 18 is near death, almost eliminated, and he decides, you know what? Instead of you being thrown out of here, let me absorb you. It is for the sake of the entire universe. You're not going to be dead. You're going to be inside me, still alive. As soon as I spit you out, you're alive again, so don't worry about it. She won't be eliminated from the tournament. She's not technically dead. She's just absorbed. And he powers up again. New form. Maybe he could do the same with 17. I know 17's ultimately the savior and he wins it, but he doesn't need to be. What if Cell absorbs him as well? Perfecta Cell.
Beyond perfect.
Yeah, that gives Cell just an opportunity to flex a new form as well, like Frieza's flexing the golden form.
Ultra Instinct Perfect Cell.
Yeah. Potentially. Yeah. Why not?
I mean, there are potential for interesting dynamics. I mean, it could, like I said, Gohan can be cold when he needs to be. It's just, could he be?
Yeah.
I think I think the entire story of the Tournament of Power would have to change.
Yeah, completely. Because, going back to the whole absorbing thing, that's a massive thing for Krillin as well. He sees his wife almost eliminated. She will be eliminated. And Cell's offering, you know what? I can absorb you and I'll be stronger. I'll be able to save the universe if you let me absorb you. And Krillin's there on the sidelines already eliminated thinking...
I was going to say he'll already be out, so...
Yeah, and he's thinking, do I really want my wife to be absorbed again by this monster? Maybe he's begging 18 to just jump out the ring to avoid being absorbed, but at the same time he's thinking about the universe and thinking, well, Cell will get stronger. That whole dynamic, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, especially he's promising, I will spit you back out afterwards.
Yeah, it's like wink. Yeah, you can trust me. It's that risk.
It could be interesting, but the entire story would change. But I suppose that makes
100%.
sense that it would. But
Yeah.
because the amount that Frieza's story in the Tournament of Power, he was obviously integral to the story, but he didn't. The majority of the story doesn't change if you swap him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put Cell in, I think you would have to rewrite the entire story.
Yeah, 100%.
Because of who he is.
Another thing they could do, as well, because a part of Frieza's story was the fact that he's with Frost, and showing Frost how to transform and be buff version, I guess. They could change Frost as a character as well and bring in Cell, like literally Cell, but from a different universe. And it's just first form Cell, and he's very good at sucking the energy out of humans, and that's why he's strong, and that's why he's a fighter on the team. And then there's Perfect Cell just like, ha, you're still in base form? Look, try and absorb one of your teammates. And then maybe he tries to absorb Kaba, for example, because Kaba, even though he's a great character, as far as the story of the Tournament of Power goes, he doesn't really do that much in the actual tournament. Imagine if that universe's Cell, since he's replacing Frost in this instance, just decides to absorb Kaba, and then he has a new form there. That would be pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah. And then like Kefla or whatever, like actually punches him in the stomach and spits him back out.
Yeah. Yeah, because you could just, instead of having the dynamic of Frieza and Frost, you have Cell and Cell instead.
Yeah. Or just literally sacrifice like just a randomer. And Xeno approves of it because they're not dead. They thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And they're technically dead.
And that's
so it gets
why later on, our Cell, like the actual universe's Cell, is like to 18, like, look, I won't get eliminated. You won't be dead. I can do this and power up. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be quite interesting. That's so Cell's just being clever. He's like, try it.
Yeah.
So he's tested the theory. Because Xeno would okay that. He would 100% okay that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially since they're not technically dead. He just needs to spit them out.
Because he's twisted little thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Freaks.
So yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Do I like Frieza being back? Yes. Would I mind Cell coming back instead? Probably not. Probably not.
Broly wouldn't be a thing though.
That's true. Yeah.
Or no, not necessarily. You could just not have Frieza involved. Paragus could just come back.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Frieza doesn't really need to be there.
You would just not involve Frieza.
Yeah.
You could just have Paragus, like you could have like Chila and that, looking for people for someone who's rebuilding the Frieza force on like they're just rebuilding the Frieza force without Frieza. They've just took command of it.
Because someone would have had to have done that anyway before they brought back Frieza the first time.
Yeah. So Chila and thing is still I don't know the other guy's name. And no, so very unimportant character.
Yeah.
So they still find Broly in that power. So they still come back, and they still go to Earth to get the Dragon Balls to revive Frieza, with it just as a plan. But Paragus finds out about Vegeta and that, and then that still happens.
Yeah.
So Frieza doesn't get revived. They still keep the Dragon Balls. So that can still all happen as planned. And
maybe instead of Frieza killing Paragus to enrage him, Paragus slips off a cliff or something like that and dies.
Or literally Broly does just accidentally kill him.
Or that might happen as well.
It literally, that could be it. I mean, like, he would get angry for the exact same reason. As far as Broly's concerned, he doesn't know Frieza. I don't think Broly knows otherwise. I don't think he knows Frieza killed him.
No.
He didn't.
No, he doesn't. He thinks it's just a random beam that kills him.
Yeah, so why does it need to be different?
It doesn't? No. I think the only big change would be that, since Frieza is revived at the end of the Tournament of Power, and he does start to rebuild the Frieza Force, that's what we see from the Broly film. That wouldn't happen at all, and Cell would be back alive instead. And arguably, he would just try and destroy the planet again. So they would have to deal with Cell straight away. Like, they don't need to deal with Frieza straight away. Frieza could say, look, I'm just going to go away. Which I'm guessing is what happens anyway, because they do leave Frieza to leave. They let him leave.
He says, I'm not going to behave.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Goku just says, we'll deal with you if you don't.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
Do.
So, but Cell has nowhere to go, though. So they need to deal with Cell straight away, kind of. Unless Cell decides, you know what? I had my fun. I'll just be a good guy now. Why not?
I mean, he can survive in space, can't he?
Yeah. Because he has Frieza's genes, so he can breathe in space.
Yeah. They could just give him a ship and just say, go chill. And they can choose to bring him back later if they wish.
Yeah.
So they can say, like, look, we'll bring you back alive. We'll give you a ship. You leave. And that's it. I mean, it's not a good idea because he'll just train and come back and
he'll just keep absorbing people from other planets and stuff constantly.
Yeah, but I suppose it's better than having your universe deleted. So
yeah, but I guess that would be an interesting dynamic for when they do finally reemerge. Well, Cell does finally reemerge. If he has been absorbing the strongest fighters that he's found on other planets, that type of thing, he could come back as a completely different form. And everyone's like, wait, that's Cell? And then that would be like a whole new boss, a whole new like character to fight, even though it is the same person.
Just get a Beerus Hakai on the way. It's fine. Didn't worry about it.
Nah, because they have to go through Goku and Vegeta first for Beerus to step in and be like, all right.
Yeah.
Boop.
I mean, the thing is, you can't regen from a Hakai because it just destroys your entity. So it's fine.
Exactly. So
so it's like you should do that. They should do that. They're like, okay, Beerus, we won. So can you just get rid of him entirely now?
Even though Beerus isn't supposed to directly interfere with stuff, but yeah, if Goku and Vegeta fail and they beg and plead and stuff or whatever, then yeah, why not?
We'll give you ramen. What is it? They love ramen. I'm sure it's ramen or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I think we're both in agreement that we wouldn't mind it, but Frieza's a great character anyway.
I think it's not a terrible take. I could live with it either way.
Yeah.
But I do love the Frieza Goku dynamic.
Yeah.
And the Frieza laugh is just kind of irreplaceable.
It is. Yeah. Frieza is too iconic of a character, so I am happy with the fact that they did go with Frieza. But like you said, I wouldn't be mad if they did decide to go with Cell instead. Frieza had his spotlight return already. If they brought Cell back as well, then yeah, I would have been fine with that.
Which it looks like they're going to do anyway. So
potentially, yeah, who knows. But yeah, I guess we can wrap up the podcast there. A bit of a longer one. And I hope everyone that's listening is still listening. If you have made it all this way, then fair play to you because it is a long one. But I hope you enjoy it anyway. And if you have, please like it up. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. Check out our polls on our social medias for the Hall of Fame. And other than that, we will see you all next time.
See ya.